Welcome to Not Your Grandfather's Vlog, episode number 23. I already recorded this bitch, but I forgot to turn the fucking microphone on, so I'm getting pissed, and this is a pretty good energy to start the vlog with, I figure. So, I went to my first therapist appointment here. Hadn't been to a therapist in like 7 years. I had been wanting to go to a therapist as of last year because my OCD and anxiety flared up to the point to where I was having to get on medication, and I felt like it would have been a good idea to just talk to somebody who has more of an objective point of view about things, where they can kind of step outside my own head and kind of give me advice that would really help. That was something that I wasn't able to do on my old insurance because nobody was in network because it was a really shitty insurance. So anyway, on my way to the therapist, I was feeling pretty good about it. I was like, no big deal. I'm going to go talk to this guy about my problems, blah, 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 whatever. Had a panic attack on the way there. Yeah. Which was weird because, like, I'm such a control freak that I think I'm in control of my emotions at all times, you know? And in, like, the front of my mind, I'm like, this is nothing, whatever, big fucking deal. But apparently in the back of my mind, it was a big deal. I was apparently very reluctant in my subconscious to go and talk to somebody about this stuff. I guess I didn't want to do it, although I felt like I was fine. So I'm having a panic attack in my car, which is just fantastic, and I go into the lobby of this office, and as I'm waiting, I'm still having a panic attack, and his receptionist could not have been more of a bitch. Not only was she a bitch on the phone, but she was a bitch in person. He really needs to fire her and get a friendly person in there, because when you're dealing with people who have mental illness, being shrewd and short and just rude in general, not a good look. Maybe for another profession, that's fine, characteristics for a receptionist, but not in the mental health field. Just a little tip for you there. So then when I finally met this guy, after waiting in the lobby, my panic attack thankfully lifted because I was finally doing the thing that I was anticipating on doing. You know, you get mental pictures of people, like how you think they look before you actually see them. Like, everybody does that, you know. You listen to a radio show and you think you know what the person looks like. This guy did not look at all like what I expected him to look like. First of all, he looked like he was about 350 pounds, big dude. He kind of had that, like, douchey, like, when someone has a beard, but they trim it to where it's just, like, a chin strap kind of thing. He had that going on. Kind of a red flag there for me. Whatever. You know, looked like he was in his mid-40s, salt and pepper hair. He carried himself with a very serious demeanor. I didn't like that. He seemed very clinical and serious. He seemed like if you went to trial and the state needed to figure out if you were crazy or not, so they hired a state-appointed psychologist to interview you. That's the kind of demeanor that this guy had. He seemed very clinical, very cold. You know, and I'm a pretty lighthearted guy in the dark times and the good times. I try to be funny and joke my way out of everything. So I'm trying to crack jokes. I'm trying to get a smile out of this guy at least, to connect. You know what I mean? You connect with people. For me, I connect with people through laughter. If I can make you laugh, I feel like we are forming a connection. That's just how I am. Stone-faced the whole time. Never once cracked a smile except for once, but I'll get to that. So he asked me about my problems, which I was totally willing to take the stage and talk about, because I love talking about my problems to anyone who will listen. And that went on, and then he asked about the medication I was taking. I told him I was taking Klonopin. Klonopin's a lot like Xanax, or a lot like alcohol. It's a depressant. If your brain's going like this, then the Klonopin slows it down to where you're not freaking the fuck out. He told me that taking Klonopin for a long period of time fucks your brain up in a bad way. I don't know, see how something can be fucked up in a good way, but yeah, so he told me that I pretty much needed to pump the brakes on that and get off of it, or something along those lines. which I thought was just great, you know. One of the things that was actually helping me manage my anxiety, he was telling me it was doing irreparable damage to my brain. That's a good start in a therapist, wouldn't you say? Make the patient feel like they have to stop doing something immediately or else they'll go even crazier than they already are. Good job so far, man, but it only gets better. His advice was to buy a book. It's some kind of phobia and anxiety workbook. So I'm doing all the work instead of him doing any work. His advice was to exercise 2 times a day, cardio 2 times a day, once in the morning and once at night. Because I told him I already exercise once every other day. I lift weights and do cardio once every other day. That's all I have time for. I don't have time to exercise and do cardio 2 times a day every day. I just don't have the fucking time for it. Sorry, you know. And again, this guy is like 350 pounds and he's telling me to do cardio because it's good for my health. What about you, man? Did you want to take your own advice on that one? So that was like red flag right there. Dude who's 350 pounds is telling me to exercise 2 times a day. So he's good at giving other people advice, but not taking his own advice. Okay. And then finally, he told me to go to my doctor and talk to him about getting on a different kind of medication. So basically, I went in there and he listened to what I had to say and basically said some shit that any Johnny dipshit off the street would have known to say. Oh, buy a self-help book, exercise more, and get on some pills. Bye. Give me some money. Pathetic. You call yourself a therapist. There was no cognitive behavioral therapy. There was no strategies for dealing with my problems as far as like things I could tell myself, things I could maybe think of, thought processes that could maybe derail my negative thought processes. None of that. Get on some pills, buy a book, exercise, do it all yourself. Have a nice day. I was very unimpressed by that. So I won't be going back to this guy, obviously. And this is, from what I've been told by my other friends who have gone to therapy, this is pretty common. You're not going to find the right guy right out the gate, or the right girl. Speaking of that, I think the next therapist I go to, I think I will try a female, because I've always, when it comes to confiding in somebody and really talking about my problems, I've tended to confide in females more. Just kind of that energy, you know, is more of a nurturing kind, rather than guys who are just kind of like, suck it up, pussy. You know, I mean, do you ever really go to your guy friends with your deep, dark problems? You know, I mean, some of you guys might be lucky enough to have guy friends who are cool and you can talk to them about that stuff, but not me. Not me. But I don't know. I've always had female friends that I've been able to confide in a lot easier than the guys. So I think I'll try a female therapist and see how that goes. Overall, very disappointed. Very disappointed. Did not, kind of like everything I was fearing happened. That was why I was reluctant to go to therapy, because I was worried that they would put it all on me and be like, well, if you don't do these things that I'm telling you to do, you're just fucked. You're fucked. There's no hope for you. If you don't go and get on a pill from the doctor, and if you don't buy this book, and if you don't exercise, dude, I didn't always have these problems, okay? And I wasn't exercising back then when I didn't have problems. So I shouldn't have to exercise now. Okay, and first of all, that might help with the anxiety, but OCD, like obsessive compulsive disorder, I can run on a treadmill for 5 hours and I'm still going to have obsessive compulsive disorder. Sorry. That's like telling a schizophrenic that they'll stop seeing demons and hearing voices if they run on if they get exercise. It's like, dude, get fucking real. Exercise? I mean, yes, exercise is important. And like today, I just got done exercising today. I felt really good after I got done running on the treadmill for like 30 minutes. I felt kind of like this high, but you know what? It's already dissipated. That runner's high is already gone. So, you know, it's frustrating and it's disheartening, but it's what you have to do to take care of yourself. And 2017, as I said, is going to be the year that I try to get my shit together, both physically and mentally. I'm going to the doctor tomorrow actually to get a checkup for my like blood pressure and cholesterol and all that stuff. And I'm sure it'll all be normal, but I haven't had a checkup in like 3 years. You know, I mainly want them to test for like, because your blood cell count will be different if you might have cancer, like just stuff like that. I just want that assurance. So, and everyone needs to go to the doctor, because I know someone who actually does have cancer now, and he just never went to the doctor. So now he has cancer, and it's too late. If he had gone way sooner, chemo might have helped him. They could have gotten to it, but anyway. The whole rest of that day after seeing that guy, I just felt weird. I felt, I felt kind of triggered. My OCD was much worse that day, because here I just bared my soul for this person who just made me feel alienated and made me feel kind of weird, actually. Because when I told him about what my specific problems were, he kind of went, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Thanks for making me feel even crazier. Good job, man. You rock." So, yeah, that was my first experience with a therapist in 2017. So, I'm really hoping the next person will be much better. And, just hanging in there. As far as my next videos go, I was sent a care package from one of the listeners to my podcast, Uncovering Unexplained Mysteries, Morgan. Thank you so much. That was so sweet of you. She lives in Canada, so guess what country I will be trying next as far as food goes? Our neighbor to the north. North America's hat. Good old Canada. So I don't know if that will be the next episode or the one after that. I don't really want to do 2 food episodes back to back, but we'll see. And thank you so much, everybody, for your suggestions on my last video for new videos. I typed them all out. Some great ideas. Some of them are going to be easier than others, as far as like copyright issues and all that. But we'll see. But yeah, not going to take up any more of your time. Have a good rest of your day or night. See you later. I don't know.